Hello guys and welcome back to another video. So today with just the end of UC right now, I wanted to make this video since now I have some proof, well not proof, like some hands-on experience with the new commander. So for this video we are going to talk about the new commander, Vorian. Right now we have his awakening turntable for you can roll to get his medals. But also I managed to get a report from this UC match so we can deep dive into his 4-star ability and how it works in the real fights. So first of all we are going to talk about Vorian. As I said, is going to be an infantry commander. Of course he's going to be focused on bleed formation and critical strikes. This is his main strong point, and also it's the first time we see the reflection buff. So let's get started with his base stats. On gold quality, it's going to be 50% infantry health, 25% total attack increase, and his third one is going to be increase the allied infantry damage versus enemy cavalry by 15%. This is not to be messed with the Diron ability, which decreases the enemy cavalry damage versus allied infantry. This is going to be your infantry against their cavalry, which the base value is 50%, as you do half your damage against your counter troop type. But this is going to give you another 50% increase in damage, which is actually really good, since sometimes you don't know what you are going to face. In terms of strategic skills, and of course with the All Out War coming really soon, his stats are going to be 240% increase in infantry attack, defense and health. This is pretty basic for any commander of his kind. But his active ability for the real-time strategy map is going to be Wheel of the Sword, and it's going to cost 700 raids and with a cooldown of 10 seconds. So the infantry led by the commander Vorian are going to increase their attack and health by 1.2k, lasting for 5 seconds, and when the commander leads the troop into the battle, they can block 10% of the damage from normal attacks. This is actually really good as a passive, and during normal attacks there is a 20% chance to cause the enemy target to bleed with a damage coefficient of 360. So really good attack and defense commander with increasing your life, and also the reduced 10% damage from normal attacks is also very good. Moving on guard skills, those are used in the rebel leaders, for example, and the weaver tree. So Vorian first ability is going to be Earth Cleaver. Vorian wields his greatsword, dealing 9000 attack damage to the target on a straight line ahead and 6% chance to trigger a critical. Second ability, when triggering a critical strike, Vorian gains 2.6 damage reduction for 5 seconds. Third ability, Enraged Greatsword, increases the critical damage by 50% for 90 seconds after every 3 attacks. This is really good because it can be stacked. So every 3 attacks his critical damage is going to be increased by 50%, and last but not least his critical chance is going to be increased by 30%. So I think this is going to be a really strong commander for facing spear rebel leaders, especially level 6, where you're going to fight for the entire battle for the 90 seconds. You can get like a huge amount of critical hits in there, and with his critical damage increasing by 50% for 90 seconds, meaning the entire battle, and it can be stacked, this can be like a huge advantage for your formation. Last but not least, we have the Furious Greatsword. This is going to be his 4-star ability, and of course where this commander is going to shine in the real battlefield. So Vorian's 4-star ability, Furious Greatsword. All allied infantry lineups inflict bleed that lasts 5 seconds after every 3 normal attacks. This is the first part, of course, so he is going to be a commander that constantly makes your infantry do bleed damage, which of course is going to tick over time and increase your overall damage output. And of course this is also have some synergy with other commanders like Dyrant, for example, where they say that if they have already been inflicted by bleed, they are going to take even more damage from his 4-star ability. Next is going to be increases the critical chance of troops brought by Vorian by 40%. Critical chance is another thing that is really strong, with the damage rate being 180%. It's like almost your troops are going to hit for double the damage each time the critical hit, and with 40%. It's not actually that small of a percentage. I'm guessing when we have his weapon eventually, it's also going to boost his overall critical chance, but we have to see it in time. And last but not least, this is the first time we see that perk, that damage reflection perk. So each time an allied lineup triggers a critical hit, it gains the damage reflection effect. The next time it suffers an attack from troops, it reflects 50% of damage taken to the attacker. And this can stack up to 5 times, meaning you can reflect 5 attacks. It doesn't mean that you're going to reflect to 150%. This is like a small misunderstanding here that some people think. So, as I said, each time an allied lineup triggers a critical hit, it gains the damage reflection. And having 40% critical hit chance is really good. Increasing it by further from using Jon Snow in your lineup, and you have a pretty good chance of hitting some really strong critical hits, and also mitigate a lot of damage taken. Of course, it's really important to note that it says that it reflects 50% of the damage taken from troop attacks and not from skill damage, meaning like a really good formation of cavalry with female synergy would not really be bothered by the Vorian 4-star ability, since its damage output is almost completely from the active army skills. Of course, from some of the cavalry attack is going to hurt back the attacker, but yet again it's really a small counter to this commander. Vorian on the tavern is going to give you 5 aptitude and 5 finance and 4 combat rate. Aptitude is going to be the free speed ups, finance is going to be the free gold, and last but not least, he is going to give you 4 stars in combat rate, which is really strong, of course, for total attack, total health, and total defense. Vorian final stats after getting him to 4 stars are going to be 80% infantry health increase, 40% in total attack increase, and last but not least, which is personally I think one of the most important perks, he's going to get a further buff of 9% for his infantry damage versus enemy cavalry. I will show you after that on a report on how it looks and what you can really expect in that. So let's move to that report, as I said, and we can further see how Vorian works in some fights. So here, first of all, I wanna show you exactly what the infantry versus cavalry damage increase truly means. So if you head down on the report on the bottom, you're going to see the percentage of damage that your troops deal against that particular troop type. So as we're going to see here, the infantry versus cavalry damage is going to be 74% instead of 50%. For example, if you take the spearmen versus infantry, spearmen are going to do 50% damage against infantry troop, of course, because it's infantry, it's spearmen counter. So exactly for the same reason, infantry versus cavalry base value is at 50%. but after having Vorian in your side, the infantry versus cavalry is going to go up to 74%, meaning that it really closes the gap between the counter you get from facing cavalry. So if you combine Vorian with other commanders like Daron and having some reduction on your weapons for cavalry damage, you're going to get on something like that. Cavalry are going to deal 132% base damage against you, and you're going to do 74% damage against cavalry. So as I said, this is going to be it's going to close the gap between fighting your counter troop type a lot, I think. And if you have it on something else in the future, like a dragon skill or something like that, we could really get to a point where a counter doesn't really matter. Here we are on the same report, of course, where on the battle record we're going to see that both variants, since both people had it, active ability starts at the start of a battle, giving you the buff Sword of Rampage when getting a critical damage reflection effect each time you trigger a critical hit. And even at the start of the battle, you're going to see that some of the troops are going to actually trigger a critical hit and gain an attack damage reflection effect. This time the lineup A3 from the ally side is going to get that particular buff, and if we scroll down a little bit, we're going to see that the enemy A3 lineup with 222,000 infantry attack our lineup with 864,000 infantry, and we lost 732 infantry. But if we go a bit down, like 2 lines below, we're going to see that the A3 lineup, the ally, triggered the damage reflection effect and reflected 50% of the damage taken to the enemy lineup. That's going to be 397 troops. Since our enemy has a lower infantry health, as it seems, and defense, hitting him with 50% of the damage he hit us, he actually is going to take like more than 50% casualties compared to our side. So as I said, this damage reflection buff is going to be really good, especially if your enemies are particularly strong, since if you don't take a lot of damage, your reflect damage is not going to be as strong. So here you're going to need somebody strong to deal a lot of damage to you, so you can reflect some damage back. So here is going to be the balance between how strong should be the enemy and how good the damage reflection is going to be in the end. So here in this particular lineup, the enemy just lost 400 troops, but if you do it cumulatively for all the lineups, in the end I think that the overall damage reflection is going to be really good. And in the end, those are troops that are going to die anyway, so you better have some counter-attack damage built in your formation in order to at least deal some damage to the enemy while your troops are dying. So this is pretty much how Vorian works. He's really good at triggering critical hits. Every 3 attacks he is going to trigger bleed also, and after the critical hits he's going to do the reflection buff for your lineup. So he's going to deal damage with bleed, he's going to deal damage with the critical hits, and he also is going to deal damage with the damage reflection. As I said, this is going to be really good, especially for people that they're pretty much stronger than you, and this is going to help you at least fight a little bit better against them. This is pretty much Vorian in a nutshell on the battle report. So that pretty much covers everything we have for Vorian right now, and his fighting abilities and his real time and his weirwood abilities and everything. As I said, really strong commanders. I think one of the stronger commanders that we've had in recent times. I think even stronger than Salar, that many people think that is one of the strongest right now. But also, I think he's very, very, very strong in the rebel leader department against, of course, spearmen commanders. So that, yeah, I think I should stop talking. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next one.
I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire.